At 2 o'clock, a rowboat slowly approaches a sailing vessel in Malmö harbor. Aboard, workers trying to make a living, and in the rowboat, an angry revolutionary trying to make a political statement. He throws in a bomb in a hatch, and this is the story of the Amalthea bombing.
Let me give you a guided tour. Let us learn some more.
Welcome back to my channel. I'm the Amastorian, and this time we are talking about the Amalthea bombing 1908. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Well, today I have a cold, so if I sound a bit odd, that might be it. Okay, now let's get to this. During the world situation at this time, the Russian Revolution was in full swing, and it was more or less a constant battle between the right and left wings in the politics in Sweden at this time. It was so infested, this conflict, it was just ridiculous. Although, in the background to the Amalthea bombing, it was a big strike going on. It was fairly common at this point in time. There were strikes all over the place. Basically, the workers tried to get the better payment and better employment in general. Although the employers employed different tactics when the workers went out on strike. They hired strike breakers, blacklegs, to continue the work in the harbor. In this case, it was the workers in Malmö harbor that was on strike. So they hired blacklegs, English workers. Although they could not house them in a normal housing, so they were housed on a ship called Amalthea, and that ship was docked in the harbor. Why? Because the protests against the workers was so bad. Actually, the blacklegs actually fired live shots at the demonstrators. That went to court and was later dismissed. The blacklegs needed police escort to and from work and during work, so this was actually a big problem. So it was a very heated discussion about this. Very bad, very bad. It was constant demonstrators at the docks, so it was a very bad situation. Now the perpetrators to this bombing was Algot Rosberg, Anton Nilsson and Alfred Stern. Now they were youth socialists, meaning they were basically members of a political party, the youth socialists. And now the deed itself was committed despite that there was police surveillance on the harbor and on board. There were two in the polices in the harbor and one on board on Amalthea. Anton Nilsson rowed out at 2 in the morning to Amalthea, and apparently the police thought he was out fishing in 2 in the morning. and he threw in a bomb in a hatch. Now in that hatch there was a length of chain lying inside. The bomb went off and that chain went flying. That chain hit Walter Close in the head and basically ripped off half his head, meaning he was killed instantly. And 23 other English workers was also injured, either by splinters or burn injuries. Later the king visited the wounded to show his respect. The 3 perpetrators fled, although Anton Nilsson lost a paid slip, and all 3 was betrayed by Albin Sturm, the cashier in Malmö Youth Socialistic Club, and he got 3,000 crowns for it. The penalties all of these 3 got: Algot Rosberg and Anton Nilsson was both convicted to death by guillotine, but was pardoned to the same penalty as Alfred Stern, life of forced labor. Honestly, I don't know which would be worse, the guillotine or life of forced labor. I might choose the guillotine. But that's a side note. The public opinion was strongly against the bombing, but soon actually turned. So much that on May 1st, 1917, 9 years after the Amalthea bombing, a demonstration was formed outside the prison in Härnösand, where Anton Nilsson was imprisoned, and demanded his release. The guards was armed with machine guns and was ordered to rather shoot Anton Nilsson than letting him go. Eventually the demonstrators gave up. Later in that year, in October, Anton Nilsson was actually released as a first decision by the new government, containing Social Democrats and Liberals. It was probably because of the very insecure situation in Sweden at this time. But this act do lend some probability to the notion that the Social Democrats supported the Amalthea bombing. And this notion comes from news reports at this time, where the liberals actually accuses Social Democrats of actually being behind this and supporting this bombing. 1918, Anton Nilsson entered service in the Red Army as a reconnaissance aviator. He also became a member of RKP, the All-Russian Communist Party. Anton Nilsson ascended to a captain's rank and acted for a period as commanding chief for the reconnaissance aviation. For his service, he was rewarded with a leather jacket by Lev Trotsky. Don't know the pronunciation of that. He also met with Vladimir Lenin, and he also shook hands with Joseph Stalin. Now this bombing was maybe not the most severe act of terrorism Sweden has or the world has ever seen, but when it happened it really shook Sweden in its core. It was a really severe thing that happened in Swedish politics at this time, mainly because of the Russian Revolution. It was at full swing when it happened. So, it was really bad at the time, because the politics got in a big shake that another revolution was going to happen in Sweden at this time. So they got really scared. Everyone was scared. And later you got the First World War and so on. It was a very shaky time, a very idealistic and political strife. So this is still not a very big deed when it comes to terrorist acts. No, there have been far worse, but it was in a time when it had a big impact. Now let me see your comments down below, please. And as always, like, share, subscribe, and always like the Facebook page, always subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you later. Bye bye.
Thanks so much for watching. Like and subscribe.